Ain't nobody really fucking with me like they always saying. All these people hit me up, but I know that they be fake.
Hey everybody, I'm Riley.
I'm Nate.
Welcome back to our second video on the channel, and like we said in the first one, this video is going to be a kind of like commentary about our lives, going into detail about my backstory, his backstory, you know, the hobbies we like to do, as well as like our personality, just so you can get a better understanding of us as creators. So you want to go first, or?
Yeah, you go first.
Alright, so I'm 16. I'm currently a junior in high school who likes to work out, eat a lot of food, play video games, and cook. I've been cooking.
What kind of video games do you like to play?
Call of Duty, Doom, Uncharted, pretty much anything that has a good backstory or a good story in general. Something that is fun and like you can play a lot of it without getting bored easily. And pretty much if it sounds cool to me, I'll play it. Now him, on the other hand, he's very picky when it comes to games and movies. Me, on the other hand, if it seems cool, I like it. A lot of the movies that I wanted to go see, he didn't like, but there were some that I wanted to see that we both ended up not liking, that being The Turning, Glass, and
I didn't like Knives Out, but you did.
Well, he didn't like Knives Out, but I thought it was fantastic. So pretty much for my personality, I'm really laid back and chill. I'm easy to get along with. It's actually funny because when me and him first met, we didn't know we were brothers because of adoption. I was adopted at birth due to some family concerns, and because of that, I was shied away from this side of my family. And it wasn't until I was 6 or 7 to where I actually finally got to meet him, and I thought he was some completely random person, but little do I know, a few years after hanging out, I found out that he's my birth brother. So
Surprised.
Yeah, I was surprised because it was ironic how he said he wished that he had me as a brother when he knew I was his brother, and I was completely clueless. So that was pretty interesting. But just a bit more about my life.
I used to play sports.
I used to play sports. I did a couple years of soccer and t-ball, and just recently I took a class in disc golf, and I'm probably gonna find some, you know, team or league near my near where I live that specializes in disc golf because it's actually pretty fun. You want to go next?
Is there anything else?
That's pretty much all I have to say for me. It's nothing too interesting. So yeah.
Alright, so
it's gonna be a bit hard for him to
yeah.
explain this.
Yeah,
So
because there's actually a lot. Jeez.
I mean, do you want me to start off for you?
What?
Do you want me to start off for you, or?
Yeah.
All right, so start from the beginning, or?
Yeah.
And include everything.
Disability.
Explain everything.
Yeah. Start from my disability.
All right, so ever since he was little, he's had a disability, that being Asperger's. And if you don't know what that is, just imagine your emotions kind of being all out of whack, meaning that, let's say you're at a funeral or something. The traditional emotion that goes along with a funeral is grief, remorse, sadness. And what Asperger's does is it completely switches those emotions and can cause laughter. So
Yeah, which was just explained a few seconds ago.
yeah, so pretty much you could be at a very depressing funeral, like a parent or a grandparent dies, and because of the disability, you can be laughing instead of actually crying.
And people don't understand that.
Yeah, some people think that you find it as a sick joke, but in actuality, it is a very common disability that a lot of people have, but yet not a lot of people understand what it actually is.
Alright, I go.
Yeah.
So, if there was one thing that defies me, it's probably martial arts, or like learning how to fight. Because growing up, when I was in elementary school, I was like a nerd, I guess you could say. I looked skinny, weak, and like I just didn't know how to protect myself. So my stepdad at the time put me in karate, and I honestly didn't like it because I was kind of forced to be put in it due to like him not wanting me to get picked on. And as time went on, I started liking it. I've been doing martial arts since 2009 or 10, so it's been like almost 10 years. But I've learned a lot over the years, such as karate, basics of boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai. I got my black belt in Taekwondo, and Krav Maga is another thing I know, which is like a military art combat system. It's designed to end a fight as fast as possible, and it's like for self-defense, like on the street. And there's also some dirty complications in it. Some people think it's dirty because there's eye gouging, groin kicking, but if you think about it, if your life is on the line against an attacker and like say,
You're gonna do whatever.
an alleyway, you're gonna do whatever it takes to get away from that.
Yeah.
When I grow up, I'm actually planning on becoming a MMA fighter, you know, like a cage fighter, because I mean I know so much stuff, and I think I'm pretty good at stuff. If you want to see any of that, my stuff's actually on Instagram, and I'll put my channel in the, or not my channel, my account in the
Description below.
yeah. But yeah, my plan is to graduate school on, obviously, because school is more important. And then once I get out of school, there's a gym that's like 45 minutes away from me, so I'm gonna get a job and get into that. Another thing that defies me is lifting weights or working out in general, because like I said, I used to be really skinny, and now I bulked up a lot. You can see like
Progression pictures
Yeah.
on his Instagram.
Yeah,
Shows
from,
before and
like,
then.
2016 to now, and you can see a lot of. I mean, can't you see the improvement?
Definitely. When I first met him, like you said before, he was very skinny.
Yeah, and I was kind of, my stomach was kind of out.
Yeah, he was skinny fat, which is what I currently am, which he's trying to help me
Yeah, I'm
bulk
still
up,
kind of skinny fat, but like other parts of my body have bulked up more.
especially your arms.
Yeah, so I'm more of a lifting weights kind of person. My bench press is over 200. My deadlift is around 400-ish. I'm working more on my lower body because my lower body isn't really
That's strong.
yeah as my upper body. But I remember the time where I couldn't do a single push-up, and out of nowhere, just one day I dropped down and I was able to do like legit 5 push-ups, and that just motivated me to keep going. Like you said about video games, I've always been a first-person shooter kind of guy, so no matter what game I play, Call of Duty will always be my #1 game, just because, I mean, it's a good game.
And
Yeah,
you've been
Call of
playing
Duty
that
has been kind of bled over the last couple of years, but
with
it's
Infinite Warfare, Black Ops 4, and kind of World War II, but
yeah. But I've always liked all the Call of Duties. Just been one thing where I didn't really like about those 3. I also like games like Doom, Halo, which he really never really tried.
yeah, I've only played like 10-20 minutes of Halo 4, and I just stopped because I found it boring.
Yeah. GTA, I used to like it, but I just lost interest in it. I also like classic games such as Spyro, which is my favorite classic game.
Crash Bandicoot.
Well, yeah, Crash Bandicoot. Mario Kart, oh not Mario, just Mario on the DDS, and then Donkey Kong, which I played for the Game Boy.
Yeah.
I've been through multiple gaming systems, such as the 3, well, I never had a 3DS or Nintendo, but I've went through a Game Boy, the regular Xbox, you know, the very first one.
Xbox 360.
Xbox 360, a PlayStation 1, PlayStation Portable,
PS2.
PS2. Well, I never owned myself one, and now I have an Xbox.
One.
I've always been on the Xbox side of it.
And I've been on the PlayStation side.
Yeah. So, another thing that defies me, and I have a lot of things that defies me, is shoes.
You are a big shoe person.
Yes.
I can say that.
So, I have like 10 or 11 pairs of shoes. And the reason for my interest in shoes, the reason why I became interested in that, is because growing up, I didn't really care about what kinds of shoes I had. So I would literally want to get shoes from the thrift store or Walmart, and they would rip easily out. I would constantly have to get new shoes just because they weren't like fabricated the right way.
Yeah.
And I'm not making, by no means am I making fun of anybody who's like that. It's just that I just, over time, when I got into like middle school, I started seeing people wear like cool shoes such as Jordans and
Nikes.
yeah, Adidas, all that, just name brand shoes, which are usually expensive, depending on where you find them.
I remember early stages of middle school, like late stages of elementary school.
Yeah, he used to be more of a Nike person, but now he's like a Boots and you know,
I
stuff
used
like that.
I used to be like you when you made the transition from shoes like And1s to shoes like Jordans,
I used to get
LeBrons.
A1s.
I was just like that. I started out with Nikes, and in 7th grade, I got my first pair of Jordans, which are still my favorite shoes I've ever had. They were actually very nice, a red finish with a kind of like gunmetal gray bottom. And I also had a pair of LeBron Soldiers, which were also pretty cool, but as I entered into...
Yeah, sorry for interrupting. That was my favorite pair of shoes you had.
Yeah.
Soldiers.
As I entered into high school, I kind of noticed that, you know, big shoes such as Jordans or LeBrons, they were kind of falling off. And I saw that trend and I switched to Vans. And most recently, I've been interested in Converses and boots. So probably because of that, my next pair is either just going to be some black and white Converses or some Timberlands.
Yeah, but anyways, right now I currently have 2 pairs of Jordans, which recently I just gave him a pair of my Air Forces. I think they are. 2 pairs of Vans, Adidas, Timberlands, which I recently just bought, and they are my favorite. And I also have a pair of LeBrons. Now, when it comes to shoes, my biggest pet peeve, and it will always be my pet peeve,
Dirty shoes.
yeah, is getting shoes dirty. I don't care if it is washable, if I can literally just take my finger and just wipe it, such as like getting dirt or grass. You know how when you walk into like wet grass and it gets on your sides, you can just easily wash that off or wipe it off. I can't stand that. There was a time where my recent pair of Vans I bought it on a Sunday, and I wanted to wear it for my first time the next day at school, which was on a Monday, and I picked the wrong time to wear it because that morning it was pouring down rain.
Oof.
And I had no time to change my shoes, so I walked out and I stepped in puddles of rain, which I couldn't help because it was just everywhere, and they ended up stinking, so I had to wash them, and they're better now, but it's just still the thought. Music is another thing that defines me. I
Same
like
here.
music with like meaning, such as
NF, Wet Lowry.
yeah, those 2 people you probably don't know. you definitely probably won't know Will Lally, but
has become more mainstream.
yeah,
People
he's becoming, as time goes on, he's becoming more mainstream with more of his songs sitting on the radio. If you know a song "Let You Down," you'll probably, that's him,
Yeah.
because that's really known. Eminem is another one, but in general, I like rap, hip hop, some country, and
a little bit of rock.
and heavy metal. I usually listen to heavy metal to like hype myself up to work out, and just other kinds of music in general if I'm feeling lonely. But in general, I just like music with a meaning. There is some exceptions of music that I do like that talks about some drugs or
Sex.
women, stuff like that. But I mean, it's just music, because music has, in my opinion, fell off a lot.
Me and sorry for interrupting you.
You're fine.
Me and my brother both think that the 2010s, early 2010s especially, was like the golden age
Yeah.
of music for this century, because there was like so many good artists out there, like The Weeknd, early stages of Logic. He was actually really popular during this time, and he is now, but his music has kind of been iffy for me. And I'm trying to get more and more into his most recent songs. I've actually done this with his new album. I've gotten more used to some of his songs, which I still really like Logic, but I just personally, I wish he would go back to the way things were.
Yeah, there's a couple of people I've actually introduced him to, such as Will Lally. Once again, no one will probably know who that is.
And of course, NF.
Yeah, NF. I also introduced him to, I mean, MGK. Did I introduce you to him? I think
yeah.
so, but I introduced him to MGK, and
As well as Lil Skies, Lil Uzi Vert.
well, Lil Uzi Vert, in my opinion, fell off. Like,
Yeah, big time.
he's still making music, but
A lot of people say his new album's actually pretty good, so.
So, I mean, that's
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can continue with my side. Music also defines me, but I'm more acceptable when it comes to music, meaning if it has a good beat, I like it. If the words have meaning, I like it. Now, if one of those two things are missing, I could care less, just as long as it's not constantly talking about alcohol, drugs, sex, women, just because that gets really repetitive easily. And besides that, I like a lot of music.
Sorry for interrupting. Like I said, there was certain exceptions to that. So, Juice WRLD is. I introduced him to Juice WRLD too, which he became his favorite artist. I think, well, new artist. Which NF is my favorite new artist, just because I relate to him a lot. And he's, I don't know about you, but I think he's the most relatable artist I've ever heard in my life. He does music.
We'll get to that in a bit.
But yeah, Juice WRLD does music about drugs, and if you don't know, he died recently because of drug overdose. Which a lot of artists, if you listen to the music, they predicted their deaths, such as XXXTentacion and Juice WRLD. You know, if you just listen to his lyrics, it's not hard to miss. And Lil Skies is another one. He has good, I don't know what kind of music, like hyping up music.
Yeah, his music is a bit of meaning as well as hyped up.
Yeah, his music is the kind that makes you, if you ever watch reaction videos where you know that people do a stink face, like that face, because it's so like nasty or foul, that's what kind of music that's why I like his music. It's like that.
Alright,
You'll tell now.
So do you want to get into the what we brought up about why NF is so relatable, or?
Yeah.
Alright, so here comes the really dark part of the video. We're already like almost 20 minutes in, which is...
It's good commentary, so it's
Yeah.
gonna be a while.
Well, actually, I think let's wait off before getting to the depressing part and talk about something that we actually both like enjoying. That's been a tradition every summer. Uh, from the longest time I can remember, we have always gone to amusement park every single summer, whether that's multiple times to King's Dominion, going to Carowinds, places like Cedar Point, which is one of the best amusement parks I've ever been to.
Yeah, it's definitely the best with Kilwins being a really close second.
Yeah,
Because Kilwins is the very first place I went to when Uncle Joey.
as well as most recently Busch Gardens, which it was good, but it was
I enjoyed myself, but it was just vain, and then I jinxed it, kind of.
yeah, a lot of the rides kept on shutting down because of bad weather conditions, but we still got to ride some of the newer rides there, which was actually pretty cool. And hopefully by this summer, if the coronavirus dies down, we can potentially go back to Carowinds or maybe even Six Flags, which will actually be pretty cool.
Hmm. If we don't go to amusement parks, we go to places like Myrtle Beach or something. Just for vacation.
Yeah, just to get away from the house, go somewhere to where it's fun, that we can relax and not worry about anything. So,
And we get
Yeah.
to like movies and.
yeah,
Alright, so the next thing I know it's a long video, but the next thing we're gonna talk about is like movies we like.
me and Nate both agree on a wide variety of movies, like action, drama, which I've gotten more into recently. Same with horror. We're big time horror fans,
You've always been a horror fan, but I
Yeah.
kinda got you into that because of
Yeah.
Insidious.
as well as Child's Play. That was the first
Yeah.
kind of true horror movie I've ever watched. And whenever a new year rolls around, we always like make a list of like the most anticipated movies we want.
So last year it was The Joker and obviously Endgame, which was the biggest movie of the year, and is now the #1 movie in all of movie history.
Yeah. And most, well, upcoming, The Conjuring 3, we're actually we're really looking forward to that. Same with Halloween Kills and a few other action movies like Wonder Woman 1984, Black Widow, and like some animated movies like the new SpongeBob and Scooby-Doo movie that are coming out.
Yeah, I'm more of a Marvel fan than DC. I mean, DC is alright, just.
In terms of live action movies, I'm a Marvel fan, but when it comes to like animated TV shows, games, comics, I'm a DC fan.
Yeah, because I'm not an animated person.
Because ever since I was little, I've been watching Batman the Animated Series, which it's actually one of, if not the best, Batman animated show, or DC animated show in general. And I've been watching that so much, and I'm trying to find a place to where I can actually watch all of the episodes for every season again.
Sick.
Well, yeah, they used to be on Amazon Prime, but they took it off, which sucks because I used to watch that every morning on weekends. So,
It was.
but besides that, we agree a lot on movies. There's some movies that I find interesting that he doesn't.
He likes mystery movies, like.
If it has a good plot, like something that will make you get intrigued. For example, Knives Out, I thought that movie was good because it was mysterious, it had a good plot, it seemed interesting. But him, on the other hand, he isn't really into those types of movies, which is completely understandable.
Yeah, I like military movies are probably my favorite genre. 1917, if you haven't seen that, you gotta go see it if you're
That's a very
Military.
good movie.
Yeah, best movie of this year so far, and will probably continue to be that in terms of action. Like you said, horror movies is, I mean, I I like to see horror movies every now and then, but it's a certain kind of horror movie, like, how do you say it? To me, horror is like movies about demons.
So the
haunted
supernatural.
houses, stuff like that. Yeah, supernatural terms. If it's like slasher movies, it's hands down Halloween because Michael Myers is the best.
We're not really into slasher movies, just
Yeah, just if we see a slasher movie, it's gonna be Halloween.
hmm
Friday the 13th, it's good.
Yeah.
Freddy Krueger, I never cared for him. Chucky, his movies up to the third Child's Play was good, and then it just got.
The two most recent movies, not the remake, but Curse of Chucky and Cult of Chucky, those were actually pretty good.
I mean, yeah. But now do you want to talk about?
I
So
mean-
one more thing, with Marvel, my favorite superhero is Captain America.
Same here. I'm a Batman fan for DC. He's a Superman fan.
Yeah, Superman's my favorite DC. Spider-Man used to be my favorite Marvel movie, but I hate Tom Holland.
Yeah, that's gonna trigger some people. I think Tom Holland is fine for the role. I like his nerdiness because he actually looks and acts like a textbook Peter Parker
Yeah.
from the comics.
So one of the reasons why I don't like it is because with Spider-Man now, why I kind of fell off with him, is because they just kind of kept changing actors and it was getting kind of frustrating. Andrew Garfield did really good for being second Spider-Man, and then
He was considered the most dark
yeah,
Spider-Man.
he had the darkest backstory because of his parents, and yeah, his girlfriend died, and then the second movie his dad died, or switch
that around.
And then I don't like the whole Tony Stark concept, like him working for Tony Stark, all the armor and stuff. To me, it seems like he's not like Spider-Man, you know.
He seems like over reliant, and that was actually
yes,
a theme in the first Tom Holland Spider-Man movie, because in one line, Tom Holland's Peter Parker says something like, "I need this suit," and that just shows that this new Spider-Man is over reliant on the technology that he got from Tony Stark.
yeah. I've always tried to find a word for that, and that's a really good explanation.
Yeah. Now, time to get into like the final concept of this video.
Yeah, time to get into like the more dark places of yeah.
So before we explain anything, we are not in any way trash talking our birth mom or birth parents in general. We do not want you guys to think of her as bad because
It's sickness.
yeah, it is a sickness. It is a very common disease that plagues a lot of parents and people in general. Most recently, teens, which it sucks, but crap happens. Now, for the longest time that I can remember,
Yeah.
our birth mom has been addicted to alcohol.
And that came to be because my stepdad, because certain things that happen to you make you like
it reconditions your mind.
It numbs the pain, kind of. So basically, my stepdad, he was a normal person before the military. He was a Marine. He came back and he was totally different. The military changed him. A lot of people actually say that the Marines changes people the most out of all branches, kind of. And I'm not sure if it was. I believe he had PTSD. I don't know. PTSD messes with you a lot. But yeah, she has went for help, so she hasn't just like sat around. But since those other many things which I'm not gonna go into detail because it's personal, such as trauma. I've been through a lot of trauma. I'll explain that in another video. But anything?
She was also, I think, addicted to drugs.
She was never addicted to drugs.
Sorry,
Just alcohol.
my bad. Well, alcohol is a drug, so
Yeah, it's like an antidepressant.
yeah. My bad for that part. But alcohol has really plagued my brother more than me, because I was actually fortunate enough to be moved away from that side. And yes, it does affect me because she's still my biological parent, but
Not as much as it affects me.
yeah, because I've with the adoption since I was born, I have been, you know, like I said, taken away from that, so my mind is more numb and not as susceptible to the stuff that's happened.
So some other things that have happened in my life was like, see my uncle get stabbed one night. He was seconds away from dying, basically. When I lived with my mom, my uncle lived with us, and there was also a roommate who he's dead now due to a heart failure. And there was one night them two were arguing, and the roommate put a knife on my uncle, stabbed him in the stomach, and my uncle lifted his sword, and I just saw all the blood pouring out, and it's still in my head to this day, and just things like that I think about, and those other issues, they all.
For part of me, when I was in third grade, my adopted mom, but I consider her my real mom. She was in a very bad car accident, and to the point where she had to be resuscitated multiple times at the hospital.
Well, like the.
Yeah, she was defibrillated, CPR, all that type of stuff for about 8 times, if I can remember. And it's not as clear, but it is a bit blurry nowadays. But I still vaguely remember seeing her like all scratched up, hooked up to a bunch of machines on life support because she was constantly fading in and out of consciousness and reality in general. And I was actually taken to my dad's for about 6 months while she was recovering. I got to see her every once in a while. I visited her at the hospital, and ever since then she's had like a lot of heart problems, a lot of problems with her arthritis, which got extremely worse. And besides that, she is still trying to move past that, and she's done a wonderful job. She's recovered a lot. Her scars are still visible because the car crash completely messed up her body. The doctors at the ER, this is going to be graphic, they had to take out all her organs because her liver was torn, and they had to fix that and put all the organs back in the best that they could. Some of them weren't in the right places, and that still affects her, but mistakes happen.
I didn't know that. Yeah, I was in the car accident myself, but it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I wasn't in the car accident because I was actually at my dad's.
You probably would have been more injured. Actually, I don't know. Depends on.
Yeah, the passenger seat, the person in the passenger seat, he just had amnesia for a bit and didn't remember the car accident. So
thinking about his mom being in the car accident, my mom was in the car accident too, which it was, I think, a very first one, but they hit a tree, like just straight on. My stepdad's dad died in it because he hit straight on to a tree, so you're gonna die if you get hit by that. But the whole front of the side was just packed it in, and they had to use the jaws of life to get her out. And she almost died at that point, and she still has like neck problems and headaches, and just she has so many problems with her, like back and neck and all kinds of stuff like that due to it. And I actually have a picture somewhere of them taking her out, and it's crazy. It was on the news too, which his was on the news as well, I think.
Yeah, and as well as the newspaper. So.
Alright, so time to get into the NF part.
All right, so a lot of songs for NF.
Every song.
Well, every song talks a lot about his life problems with depression, alcohol in the family. Most notably, his song "Why Did You Leave Us?"
How could you leave us?
How could you leave us?
Basically, what that song is, it's about his mom. I forgot why she did it. Well,
overdosing.
yeah, she overdosed on pills and chose drugs over her son, her two sons, and that's how that song came to be. But relate to it a lot because every single song he makes is just deep, and he's the kind of artist that if you don't relate to it at all, you feel like you relate to it. Like he just says the way he writes down lyrics and says it, you can literally picture it in a way.
Mm-hmm. Like I said before, the drug part doesn't really affect me that much.
Yeah.
It's more of his depression that does affect me because
Hold on real quick. His new album, The Sorts, which it beat Chance the Rappers, which is I believe he's a pretty big rapper.
Mhm.
But it outbeat his it outbeat his album for #1 in the world or US, and it's nothing but mental depression, mental health problems, just stuff like that. And music like that's what I mean by music with a story, music that you can relate to.
Mm.
And what were you gonna say?
Like I was saying, the depression part of his music, that really gets me because ever since I was little, this traumatic event happened that, I'm not going to say because it's very personal. It happened, and ever since then, I was really not the same.
Yeah.
Because of something that traumatic. It really does change the way you look at life, how you act, how you feel. And because of that, I've had to get counseling for that. And, my depression overall has gotten a lot better because I've not only moved past that event, but also people who have, contributed to the way I'm feeling, that being depressed. I've, pushed them out and not let them back in, and that's helped too, because there's no point in having someone in your life if they're just gonna constantly make you feel bad and manipulate you and all that type of stuff. But besides that, I've been doing actually pretty better. I still listen to his music because I like the meaning behind it, and it does stick with me. But besides that, that's all I have to say for my part.
About him, well, not him. With him saying about depression, I have the same thing. Well, it goes on. It's like an on and off kind of thing. Just all the things like I said about my mom, being in car accidents and traumas such as watching my uncle get stabbed, and the last thing that's really well, not really, but one of the biggest things that really affected me was a relationship, which he can kind of explain.
Mm-hmm.
But this is gonna sound kind of cringy, what I'm about to say, but it's true. People say heroin may be the worst drug, crack may be the worst drug, methamphetamine, shrooms, any of that. But love is probably the most dangerous drug, because love makes you do crazy stuff. If you're with the wrong person, many things will happen, and I somehow fell into a kind of manipulative relationship, I guess you could say.
Yeah, there's been a couple to where you know, it started out great. You know, everything was good. They got along really nice. Then fast forward a couple weeks or months into the relationship,
and everything changed.
yeah, everything usually goes downhill. And
Which it's always been problems for me because I'm 19 years old and I've never actually had a real relationship just because I've always been with the wrong people.
mhm.
Which is it's unlucky. He's actually been with a couple of different people, but some things didn't work out,
Yeah,
such as parents being worried and whatnot.
yeah. And like I said, fast forward weeks or months in advance, things change. They don't act the same. They start getting more manipulative. They start blaming you for the arguments that you have, or they always try to make you feel like crap when in reality they're just blaming other people for their problems. And that doesn't help my brother at all.
Yeah, that's the kind of relationship I was in.
Because of that, it sends him into periods of time to where he doesn't feel like doing anything.
Well, it's still like that.
Yeah, but it's not as
It's not as bad as it is, but it's still like
Yeah.
just memories and like with me, one little simple thing just triggers me into this kind of depression mode, and my disability is one of the also biggest things because like he said in the very beginning, you don't understand until you have it, and
or you know someone who has it that's
Yeah.
very close to you.
but my kind of disability is it's one of the rare ones.
Hmm.
It's not like really common. ADHD and anxiety is another thing that I have. So a lot of people suffer from. But
Hmm. But besides that, you know, he's gotten better over time.
and that's where the working out part comes in. That's a really big stress reliever. You know, if I'm feeling some kind of way, usually, well, it's kind of funny because most of the time, whenever I'm feeling sad, I don't work out at all. But whenever I do, I feel better. But just the way I am is, even if there's something that helps me, I don't do it because it's that bad.
For me, whenever it comes to like me trying to feel better, cooking, you know, just cruising along the beach or down the streets of my hometown, that usually helps me, as well as video games. Just something to take my mind off of the problems that I'm facing right now. And music is also one, but not as much. So that's all I really have to say for my part
Same.
for this
Really?
video.
Yeah.
Alright, 43 minutes long. If you guys do watch the entirety of this video, we thank you a lot for, you know, taking time out of your day for, you know, coming by and watching this video about a insight into our life. And yeah, we'll see you next time, probably tonight, to play a game of Warzone, as you can see right there on the whiteboard. We'll probably do about 30 minutes to an hour of gameplay.
Yeah.
Nothing too extreme, just something basic.
I don't know if we covered it yesterday or we didn't cover it, but there will be some features in this video, such as a couple friends or friends that we can't see in like person due to the virus going on. So a lot of it will be on like you said, playing video games with, such as Call of Duty.
Mhm.
And yeah.
Alright, thanks for watching. If you can, leave a like and subscribe. It will be much appreciated.
Make sure you
And
spread the channel. Help us out, support us some.
Yeah,
we stumped in the last couple of channels.
yeah, usually there's this curse that goes around with our duo channels to where it gets around 30 to 40 subscribers, then everything just drops. So let's try and hope that this channel doesn't do the same. But yeah, I'm Riley.
I'm Nate.
Thanks for watching.